She wasn't supposed to look at him. She wasn't supposed to speak to him. She wasn't supposed to breathe the same air as him. One rule, one law, one unforgivable line. Never touch the alpha who was forbidden. But the moment his shadow crossed her path, her wolf trembled. His pulse changed. The world tilted. He was danger wrapped in destiny, power wrapped in silence. The kind of man you run from and crave anyway. Everyone warned her. He ruins futures. He breaks vows. He claims what isn't his. But they didn't know the truth. She wasn't the one in danger. He was. Because the bond he was born to resist is the one thing she was born to break. And when their eyes met, the law shattered first, then the kingdom. Because the forbidden alpha didn't just want her. He marked her. And once an alpha marks, there is no undoing fate. If you were her, would you obey the law that protects your life? Or surrender to the mate bond that could destroy a kingdom? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more Forbidden Wolf stories. This is the story of a girl raised on rules, and an alpha built on defiance. A world where bonds are sacred, bloodlines are untouchable, and one command shapes every life. Never cross the forbidden alpha. But fate doesn't care about laws, or councils, or consequences. It cares about instinct, fire. The pull between two souls who should never collide. She was Lyra, pack-born, oath-bound, invisible by design, promised to a future she didn't choose, living in the shadow of a rule that kept her safe and caged. And he was Kyle Nightwind, exiled heir, marked as dangerous, banished by the council for sins no one would name. A wolf every pack feared, a man no one dared claim. Their lives were never meant to touch, until the night the moon rose red, and destiny rewrote the law in fire. Because the one bond she was forbidden to awaken is the only bond strong enough to burn the world clean. And when the truth comes out, she won't just risk her life. She'll risk the throne. The one rule she can't break is the one rule she was born to destroy. The moon hung low over Silvercrest Valley, pale and thin, like it was afraid to shine too brightly tonight. Lyra Ashwood moved through the training grounds with her head down. Boots, silent on the dirt, braid, swinging between her shoulder blades. She kept her steps measured, controlled, forgettable. Just the way they wanted her. Just the way the law required. Omega-born, council-bound. Promised to Alpha Rowan at the next moon ceremony. A future sealed before she ever learned what the word choice meant. Whispers flicked around her as she passed the other wolves. Quiet little thing. She'll make a compliant Luna. At least she knows her place. Lyra ignored them. She always did. If she reacted, if she fought back, people noticed, and being noticed in Silvercrest was dangerous. Especially for someone like her. Because carved into the laws of their world, older than crowns, older than kings, was the decree every wolf learned before they could speak. Never approach the forbidden alpha. Never speak his name. Never awaken his bond. Break the rule, and the punishment was death. No appeals, no mercy, no second chances. Lyra didn't understand the rule. Not fully. The elders never explained it. The history books ignored it. Even Rowan, her future mate, her future alpha, shut her down whenever she asked. "That subject is off limits," he'd say. "Don't think about him. Don't look for him. Don't even imagine him." And Lyra, obedient by survival, nodded every time. But she still wondered. Late at night, when the wind howled like a warning, when her wolf paced inside her ribs like something restless, waiting, aching. Wondered who he was, why he was forbidden, why the law sounded less like protection and more like fear. At dawn, training ended. Rowan approached her, tall and perfectly groomed, every inch the future ruler the council adored. "Lyra," he said, voice smooth as polished stone, "walk with me." She followed, silent, hands clasped behind her back. "You've been quiet lately," Rowan said, distracted. "I'm fine," she answered automatically. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Good. The moon ceremony is in 7 days. The council expects perfection. Perfection. Obedience. Silence." That was what he admired. Not her. Just the version of her that didn't make waves. "You'll stand beside me," Rowan continued, "and you'll take the oath without hesitation. Once you're bound, you'll forget your questions." Lyra paused. "My questions?" Rowan's gaze sharpened. "The forbidden alpha. You asked about him last week." Lyra swallowed. "I was just curious." Rowan stepped closer, too close, fingers brushing her chin as if she was something he owned. "Curiosity is dangerous, Lyra, especially about him." She held still, didn't flinch, didn't breathe. Rowan lowered his voice. "He was exiled for a reason. The law is clear. No one may seek him. No one may claim him. No one may speak his name." Lyra whispered, "Then why does the law matter if he's gone?" Rowan's jaw tightened, because even in exile, he's a threat. To who? To what? Lyra didn't ask. She knew better. Rowan released her and straightened his collar. "Focus on your duty. The council sees you as a suitable Luna. Don't ruin that." And then he walked away, leaving her in the cold shadow of his expectations. That night, Lyra slipped into the forest, her only sanctuary. Trees whispered. The wind carried secrets the council pretended didn't exist. Lyra tilted her head back, staring at the blood-tinted moon climbing the sky. Her wolf stirred, hard enough to steal her breath. What is that? Heat flashed through her veins. A pull, a tug, like someone far away had grabbed an invisible thread tied to her chest and given it a single commanding pull. She stumbled, clutching a tree trunk. "Stop," she breathed. "What's happening?" Her heartbeat thundered, her vision blurred. Her wolf whispered a single word. "Mine." Lyra froze. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible. I'm bound to Rowan. I don't have a mate." Another pull, stronger, sharper. Her knees buckled. The air shifted, and from somewhere deep in the forbidden mountains, beyond pack borders, a howl tore across the night. Low, powerful, claiming. Her wolf shuddered. Lyra's breath hitched. She didn't know who he was. She'd never seen his face. She wasn't supposed to hear him, ever. But she knew in her bones, in her blood, in the place every wolf was born to fear. The forbidden alpha was awake, and he was calling her. The moment the sound faded, the ground trembled beneath her feet, and behind her, branches snapped. She spun. Rowan stood at the tree line, eyes blazing. What did you just feel? Lyra's pulse stuttered. Nothing. Rowan stepped closer, expression turning ice cold. Don't lie, the whole pack felt a surge. Lyra backed away instinctively. His voice dropped to a whisper edged in warning. Tell me the truth, Lyra, did you feel the bond? Lyra couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Her silence said everything. Rowan's face twisted with something she'd never seen before. Fear. Moon above, he whispered. No, not you. He grabbed her arm, grip bruising. You stay away from that presence. Do you hear me? If the council even suspects the bond touched you. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The law already had. Break the rule. And she dies. Across the valley, another howl rose. Closer this time. Hungry. Furious. Searching. Rowan's voice shook. He's coming. Lyra's wolf exhaled one trembling word. Kel. And the rule that shaped her entire life just broke. The air didn't calm. It thickened, charged, like the forest itself was holding its breath. Lyra tore her arm from Rowan's grip. I don't know what that was, she whispered. But it wasn't my fault. Rowan's voice snapped like a whip. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. If the council senses a mate pulled toward the forbidden alpha, they'll execute you before dawn, though. Execute. The word hit her like ice water. For a feeling? She choked. For a bond, Rowan hissed. A bond that was outlawed. A bond that nearly destroyed the kingdom once already. Lyra staggered back. But I didn't choose it. Rowan stepped closer, voice dropping into a cold, possessive growl. And you won't answer it. Do you understand me? You're mine. Bound by decree, promised by law. Her wolf bristled, sharp, sudden, defiant. Not his. Lyra flinched at the force of it Rowan noticed. His expression shifted, anger curdling into panic. Say it, he demanded. Say you belong to me. Lyra opened her mouth. But before any sound left her throat, a violent pulse slammed through the air. Rattling leaves, shaking branches, stirring the forest like a hurricane made of instinct. Lyra's knees buckled. Her heartbeat synced to something distant, a heartbeat that was not her own. Fast, powerful, hunting. She gasped. Rowan's eyes went wide. He's locking onto you. Lyra didn't understand, but her wolf did, thrumming, alive, stalking inside her skin. The forbidden alpha wasn't just howling. He was tracking. Rowan grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. Lyra, listen to me. If he finds you, if the bond seals, every treaty collapses. Every pack turns feral. The council will burn Silvercrest to ash before they let that happen. Lyra's voice cracked. Why? What did he do? Rowan hesitated, just long enough to terrify her. Then, he slaughtered his own council. He tried to claim the crown by force. The mate bond he awakened nearly wiped out half the realm. Lyra stared at him. That's impossible. Rowan's jaw clenched. That's why he was exiled. That's why the law was written. That's why no one is allowed to seek him. Lyra swallowed hard. And what's his name? Rowan recoiled like she'd spoken a curse. Never say it. Never think it. The law forbids his name for a reason. But she whispered, shaking. Her wolf whispered it again. Kale. Rowan paled. You heard his name in the bond. Lyra didn't answer. She didn't need to. Rowan backed away, hands trembling. Oh, Moon, you're in danger, real danger. The forest wind shifted. A scent rode in on it. Dark pine, cold storm, iron. Lyra's wolf surged, frantic. He's close. Rowan's head snapped toward the mountains. We have to get you inside the fortress, now. He grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the clearing. But Lyra yanked away. Leo? Rowan blinked. Who? My little brother. She gasped. He's alone. If I go into custody, they'll leave him with nothing. I have to get him. Rowan shook his head violently. No. If the council finds out the bond touched you, they'll use him as leverage, or worse. Lyra froze. Worse? Rowan didn't explain. He didn't need to. She could see it in his face. Her wolf snarled inside her, protective, primal. Lyra's voice hardened. I'm getting him. Rowan's eyes darkened. You can't leave the grounds. If he senses you out in the open, he'll come faster. I don't care. Rowan grabbed her again. You should. Before she could argue, a roar tore through the night. Not a howl, a roar. Raw power shaking the mountains. Birds scattered, wolves across the valley dropped to their knees. Rowan's voice cracked. He shifted. Lyra's blood turned molten, shifted, which meant one thing. Kale was coming in wolf form, and nothing alive could outrun that. Rowan spun toward the fortress walls. Guards! Lock down the perimeter! Activate the shields! Torches flared, bells rang, steel clanged, war energy surged through the pack. Lyra's head spun. This is over me. Rowan's voice was grim. It's always been about you. Confusion stabbed her. What does that mean? Rowan didn't answer. He couldn't. Because the ground trembled beneath their feet. Dirt cracked. Trees shuddered. Air split. And every wolf in Silvercrest bowed instinctively, spines forced low by ancient instinct. Lyra alone stayed standing, frozen, breathless, because a single monstrous silhouette appeared on the ridge. Massive, coal-black, burning-eyed, watching her. Not the pack, her. Lyra's lungs seized. Her wolf whispered, Mate! Rowan spun, horror draining the blood from his face. He found you. Lyra couldn't look away, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The forbidden alpha took one step forward, and every ward around the fortress shattered like glass. Rowan drew his blade. Lyra, run! She didn't, she couldn't, because Kale, the wolf she was forbidden to know, took another step. The earth cracked beneath his paws. His gaze burned into her soul. And without a sound, he bowed his head. Not to Rowan. Not to the pack. Not to the council. To her. Lyra stumbled backward, heart pounding, voice barely a whisper. What are you doing? Rowan's blade shook. He's submitting. Lyra blinked, trembling. Submitting? To me? Rowan swallowed hard. No. His voice dropped into dread. He's claiming you. As if answering the words. Kale lifted his head and released a single world-shaking growl that rolled through the valley like prophecy. Mine. The sky split with lightning. The bond ignited. And Lyra's world exploded. Light, pain. A rush so fierce it felt like her bones were burning from the inside out. Lyra fell to her knee, clutching her chest as the bond ignited. Silver fire racing through her veins, pounding in her pulse, rattling her ribs. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She could only feel him, Kael. A presence like a storm, wild, ancient, merciless, pulling at her soul like a tide. Rowan lunged, grabbing her shoulders. Lyra, look at me! Fight it! She shook violently, eyes wide, breath broken. I can't, Rowan snarled, voice slicing like a blade. If you accept that pull, if you acknowledge him, the bond seals. And if it seals, the council will execute you both. Execute. Both. Lyra's vision blurred. Why me? She gasped. Why is it me? Rowan's eyes were raw, almost desperate. Because the moon chooses chaos, and he is chaos. Another roar cracked across the valley. Closer now. Hunting. Claiming. Her wolf bucked inside her chest. Frantic. Go to him. Lyra pressed her palms to the dirt. Voice strangled. No. No. I'm not his. I'm not anyone's. Rowan hauled her up, shaking. You don't understand. The forbidden alpha doesn't choose mates. He takes them. If he reaches you, if he touches you, not even the council can undo it. Lyra's heart hammered. Then stop him. You're a commander. I can't stop a myth. Rowan snapped. Kael isn't just an alpha. He's the one born with the breaking mark, the wolf destined to shatter every law the realm is built on. Lyra staggered back. That's superstition. Rowan didn't blink. Then why are the wards destroyed? Why is every pack on their knees? Why is he bowing to you? She had no answer, because none of this made sense. She was nothing, just a girl who trained, obeyed, survived and not chosen and not royal, not special. Yet the most dangerous wolf alive was tearing down kingdoms just to reach her. A thunderous crash echoed through the valley. Trees split, stone cracked. God screamed as Kael vaulted off the ridge, landing with a quake that rippled through the fortress walls. He shifted mid-stride, fur melting into flesh, bones twisting, power reshaping into a towering male form, bare skin, scarred muscle, eyes like molten silver, beautiful, terrifying, untamed. Kael stood at the edge of the moonlit clearing, breathing like a beast barely contained. Not a word, just hunger, just recognition, just her. Rowan shoved Lyra behind him, sword drawn. Don't come closer. Kael didn't even glance at the blade. His gaze never left Lyra, not for a second. He took one slow step forward. Lyra's breath hitched. Another step. Rowan growled, shifting, fur rippling beneath his skin. I said stop! Kael finally spoke. His voice was deep, rough. fractured from years of silence, yet it carried like thunder. She isn't yours. The words slammed through the clearing. Rowan bristled, trembling with rage. She was sworn to my house, promised to my command, bound by decree. Kael's eyes darkened, ancient fury burning beneath the surface. Laws don't bind destiny. Lyra shook her head, voice barely audible. I don't want destiny. Kael stepped closer. You don't choose the bond. Lyra's pulse shattered. So what? She whispered. I'm just trapped. Owned? For the first time, something flickered in Kael's expression. Not rage, not hunger, pain. You are not owned, he said quietly. You are recognized. Lyra's breath faltered. Recognized, seen, claimed. Rowan snarled. You lost the right to claim anything when you burned your council. Kael's jaw tightened. They tried to bind my choice. They tried to cage fate. Rowan lifted his blade. You murdered them. Kael didn't flinch. They would have murdered her. Silence crashed. Lyra's chest tightened. What are you talking about? Kael's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. You were marked at birth. Lyra went still. Marked. Rowan's face drained of color. Kael, don't. Kael ignored him. The Moon Priestess saw the bond before you could walk, saw who you belonged to, saw what you would become. Lyra stumbled backward, shaking. No one ever said. They hid it, Kael said. They forged records, buried the prophecy, because if you became my mate, every royal bloodline would fall. Rowan stepped between them, blade trembling. That's why the forbidden law was written, to stop you. Kael's voice dropped to a growl. You can't stop fate. Lyra shook her head, tears forming. I don't want this. I don't want power. I don't want a throne. I just want... She froze, because she knew exactly what she wanted. Freedom. Kael saw it in her eyes. You won't get freedom here, he said softly. You'll get chains, Rowan's voice snapped. She'll get protection. Kael's gaze darkened. She'll get prison. And with you, Rowan spat, what does she get? A kingdom soaked in blood. Kael didn't hesitate. With me, she gets choice. Lyra's breath broke. Choice. The one thing she'd never been given. Rowan's voice hardened. Lyra, don't listen. He's manipulating you. Kael didn't look away from her. I am many things, he said, but I don't lie to my mate. The word hit her like lightning, mate. Her wolf surged, desperate. Go. Lyra staggered back, clutching her head. I need space. I can't. Kael stepped forward, but Rowan lunged, blocking him. If you take another step toward her, I invoke pack law. I challenge you as her sworn protector. Kael's eyes flashed silver. Then you sign your death. Rowan's blade raised. I'd die before I let her ruin herself with you. Kael bared his teeth. And I'd burn kingdoms before I let you cage her. Lyra's voice cracked. Stop! But neither wolf moved. Two alphas, one forbidden bond. And a law that said loving him was treason. Before anyone could strike, horns blared in the distance. Council horns. Torches ignited across the mountains. Dozens, hundreds. An army marching towards Silvercrest. Rowan's voice dropped to a whisper of dread. They're here. Lyra's blood froze. The council. Rowan swallowed hard. They've come to execute the mate. Lyra's knees buckled. Execute The mate, her. Kael's head turned toward the advancing army, every muscle coiling like a predator, ready to the slaughter. He looked back at her, and for the first time his voice broke. Lyra, choose. Rowan reached for her hand. Choose safety, Tarn. Kael extended his hand. Choose freedom. Her entire life balanced between them. Law and outlaw duty, and destiny's safety and fire. And a truth she could no longer ignore. No matter what she chose, the world would burn. Lyra drew a shaking breath, heart racing, wolf screaming, council closing in, and she whispered the words that would change everything. I choose. The forest exploded with thunder. Wind slammed through the clearing, howling violent, ripping leaves into a frenzy as Lyra's unfinished words hung in the air like a lit fuse. Before she could speak again, a shockwave tore across the valley, knocking Rowan to one knee and sending birds scattering into the night sky. Kael didn't move. His gaze was locked on her, waiting. Not demanding, not forcing, waiting for her. Lyra's breath shook. I choose. A horn blared again, closer, louder, shaking the trees, and then voices, dozens of them chanting, seal the bond, stop the curse, kill the mate. Lyra's knees buckled. They're really here to execute me. Rowan grabbed her arm. They'll kill him too if the bond seals. You can still stop this. Deny him. Reject him. Say the words, Lyra. Reject the bond and they'll leave you alive. Alive. But empty. Something deep inside her twisted. Kael took one step forward. Slow. Controlled. Like approaching a wounded creature. You don't owe me acceptance. His voice was rough, fractured, honest. But you owe yourself truth. Lyra's eyes filled. What truth? He held her gaze. You want freedom, and freedom does not live in the council's leash. Rowan snarled. She doesn't want you. Kael's eyes flicked to him, cold as winter. You don't speak for her. Rowan stepped between them, shaking with fury. I speak for the law. And I, Kael growled, speak for fate. Torches erupted at the tree line. Council soldiers flooded into view. Ranks of armored wolves, banners whipping in the wind, silver masks gleaming beneath moonlight. At their head rode High Prelate Malis, robes flowing, staff glowing with lunar power. Lyra froze. I know her. She blessed my training ceremony. Rowan's face hardened. She also wrote the forbidden law. Now Malis raised her star, voice booming across the valley. Bring forward the marked girl. A surge of soldiers advanced. Lyra stumbled back, pulse pounding. Kael's body tensed, wolf raging beneath his skin. Rowan grabbed her wrist. Lyra, listen to me. You can end this now. Reject him. Say the word. Kael's voice cut through the chaos. Don't choose out of fear. But fear is all I have, she cried. No, he said. You have instinct. And instinct led you to me. Her chest tightened. Because she knew he was right. She felt him, pulling her, tethering her, anchoring her. Not as a king. Not as a legend. But as something she'd never had. A choice. Maeli lifted her staff higher. In accordance with the lunar edict, the mate of the forbidden alpha is sentenced to immediate execution. Seize her. Soldiers surged, Rowan shoved Lyra behind him, blade flashing. "No one touches her!" Kael stepped forward, bare-handed, unarmored, and radiating lethal calm. "If you try," he said softly, "you will die." Melee sneered. "You cannot fight an army." Kael's eyes glowed silver. "I don't need to." And then he shifted. Not like before. Not like a man turning into a wolf, but like a storm being unleashed. Dark fur rippled out like shadow. Bones cracked like thunder. The earth shook beneath his paws. This wasn't a wolf. It was something older, something forbidden. Something the law had feared for centuries. The soldiers faltered. Even Melis stepped back. Rowan whispered, horrified. "Moon, save us. He's the prime form." Lyra's pulse seized. "What does that mean?" "It means," Rowan breathed, "no alpha alive can stop him." Kael roared. An earth-splitting sound that sent shockwaves through the clearing. Soldiers flew backward. Swords Nyandons shattered. The very ground split open. He leapt, tearing through the front line, ripping banners, crushing shields, scattering warriors like leaves. Lyra stared, trembling, not in fear, but in recognition. Her wolf rose inside her, howling. "Mine." Rowan grabbed her hand. "This is your last chance, reject him." Lyra pulled free, voice cracking. "I can't." "Why?" Rowan shouted. Tears streamed down her face. "Because when he looks at me, I don't feel small." She took a step toward Kael. "I feel seen," another step. "I feel strong," another. "I feel chosen," Miley screamed. "Stop her, the bond will seal." But Lyra kept walking. Through fire, through smoke, through the wreckage of a battle she never asked for. Kael whirled toward her. Wolf form towering, eyes blazing silver. Soldiers lunged. Lyra lifted her hand, and something impossible happened. Shockwave of burst from her palm. Silver, bright, violent, hurling every attacker backward. Even Kael staggered. Lyra froze. What was that? Rowan stared at her like she was something impossible. "You activated the lunar gift." Milis's voice trembled with rage. "Then the prophecy is true." Lyra looked at Kael, trembling, terrified, alive. "What prophecy?" Rowan swallowed. "The mate of the forbidden alpha doesn't just bond the wolf." He stepped back, terrified. "She commands the crown." Lyra staggered. "Command? The crown?" Kael landed beside her, massive wolf form, lowering his head, bowing to her. Not claiming her. Not consuming her. Bowing. Milis shrieked, "Kill him before she speaks the vow!" Soldiers surged. Kael snarled, ready to meet them. But Lyra stepped in front of him. Her voice rang across the battlefield. Clear, strong, unshakable. "I claim him." The world stopped. Wind froze. Torches flickered. The moon tore open. Silver light pouring down like a spotlight burning the earth. Every soldier dropped to their knees, forced by ancient magic. Even Melis choked, collapsing. Rowan stared in horror and awe. Lyra stood tall, hair whipping in the wind, eyes glowing with moonfire. And she spoke the words no queen in history had ever dared, "And I break the law that forbids our bond." Thunder cracked. The forbidden law shattered. Kael shifted back, kneeling before her, breath shaking, eyes shining. Lyra. She reached for him, hand trembling, but sure. I choose you. Not destiny, not prophecy, not fear. Him. The battlefield erupted. Wolves ogling, magic roaring, the moon blazing like a crown. But far in the shadows, a new voice whispered, "Then let the true war begin." Silence fell over the battlefield. Heavy, waiting, electric. Lyra's vow still echoed in the air, woven into the earth, stitched into the moonlight itself. Kael rose slowly. Not as an exile, not as a monster, but as a king reborn. Soldiers trembled. Miley struggled to breathe. Rowan stared like he'd just witnessed the birth of a legend. And Lyra, a girl who had spent her life apologizing for her existence, now stood at the eye of a destiny no one could control. Mylis forced herself upright, rage burning through her veins. "You foolish child, you've doomed us all." The forbidden law was written to contain him. Lyra stepped forward, voice steady. "No, the law was written to control me." Gasps rippled through the ranks. Kael turned to her, stunned. "You knew." Lyra shook her head. "I didn't. Not until I saw their fear. They were never afraid of you, Kael." She looked at the kneeling army. "They were afraid of what your mate could become." Rowan whispered, horrified, "The lunar crown chooses a mate, not a council." Malis shrieked, "She is not a queen, she is a weapon." Lyra's eyes burned silver. "Then they shouldn't have taught me how to survive." Malis lifted her staff, summoning a cyclone of moonfire. "If the bond survives, your power will eclipse the councils. The pacts will fall into chaos. The throne itself will bow to you." Lyra didn't flinch. "Then maybe it chose the wrong rulers." Malis screamed, "Execute them both!" Soldiers surged forward, but they didn't get far. The earth cracked open beneath their feet, forcing them flat, forcing them still. Not Kael's power, hers. Lyra lifted her hand, trembling, but unbroken. "No more blood." Soldiers froze mid-charge. No more chains. Their weapons dissolved into dust. No more laws built on fear. The lunar crown pulsed above her, a halo of silver flame forming in the sky. Kael watched her, awe softening the steel in his eyes. "Lyra, you're becoming..." She turned to him, tears burning down her cheeks. "I'm becoming what they tried to kill." Malis roared, "The lunar crown cannot be claimed without a coronation. She has no right." A voice rolled across the valley. Ancient, resonant, undeniable. The right was her birthright. Wolves bowed instinctively. Even Kael's breath hitched. Lyra looked to the sky, whispering, "Mother Moon." The voice answered her alone. "They hid your power to control your fate. Now, take back what was stolen." Lyra swallowed. "I don't know how." Kael took her hand, firm, grounding, real. "Then let me be your strength." Rowan stared, eyes wide. "You would kneel for her?" Kael turned, voice unshakable. "I would kneel to no council, no throne, no crown." He dropped to one knee before Lyra. "But I kneel to my mate." The ground lit under them, runes spiraling outward like wildfire. Maelis shrieked, "Stop him!" Too late. Lyra's power surged. Silver flame erupted from the earth, racing up Kael's arm, across her chest, binding their hearts in a column of moonlit fire. A bond completed, a bond unstoppable, a bond forbidden no longer. The lunar crown descended, hovering above Lyra, waiting. Kael looked up at her, voice raw. "You choose the next world, Lyra, not them." Her voice broke. "I don't want to rule through fear." "You won't," he whispered. "You'll rule through truth." Lyra closed her eyes. She saw the village that mocked her, the training yard that ignored her, the council that silenced her, the life that treated her as nothing. Then she opened her eyes, burning with a queen's fire. "My rule begins with freedom." She reached up, and her fingers touched the crown. Moonlight exploded. Soldiers were thrown back. Maelis screamed and vanished into shadow. The earth steadied, the sky cleared. Wolves howled, not in fear, in allegiance. Rowan bowed his head, so all hail, the Lunar Queen. Lyra turned to Kael, breath shaking. "I don't know if I can do this." Kael rose, cupping her face gently. "You already did." He kissed her, not claiming, not conquering, but sealing a promise of equals. The bond pulsed with quiet thunder, and in that moment, the world changed. Because the girl no one saw, the mate no one wanted, the wolf they tried to bury, had become the queen destiny feared most. Not by law, not by bloodline, but by choice. As the howls echoed across the realm, Lyra looked at Kel with a soft, fierce smile. "Let's build a world worth surviving." He laced his fingers with hers. "By your command, my queen." From ruin she rose, not to be owned, but to rule beside the one fate tried to forbid.